Okay, hey guys. I hope you're having a great day and we are very excited to be here. So I would like to start with a question. Are you looking for an awesome movies to watch? And I see nods and yeses, so it's perfect because we have a great app for you. And we'll be presenting you today our app called Moviem8s. So what exactly is Moviem8s? I think everybody have question, but Moviem8s exactly, for instance, like let's suppose you're like stuck at home, especially during this time of quarantine. You have finally have like a time to watch a movie. But the problem is like, like you can't remember on the spot which movies you wanted to watch. Even though you have like membership on like Netflix and on Amazon Prime, all those like website have top rated movies on the list, but those most of the movies are the things that you have watched in the past. And I think that's the most case for all of us. And we have created this perfect app for you that kind of helps you, those kind of users. And that is Movie8s. And basically, Movie8s is like a recommendation app. Um, it's like a recommendation app that kind of allows you to show a list of movies that kind of like recommends users which has interest in. So we kind of like figuring out how to implement this, and we kind of figure out that maybe we had a great idea that maybe if we implement this on top of this concept of this existing app called Tinder. And for those of you who don't know what Tinder is a dating matching app, which is very popular worldwide. And basically, you have random photos of people, and if you have interest in that person, you'll be swiping to the right. And if you don't have interest in that person or hate that person, you swipe to the left. And if you super like that person, you'll be pressing the button called super like, which kind of allows your profile to be shown on the top of the list. And we decided to combine that concept with this API called IMDb. And IMDb is this API that fetches all the movies information from this huge movie database. And we have, from this API, we get this information like summaries, titles, and all those ratings that we kind of needed for the users to decide which movie to watch next. So in order to like make this app, we need to think of this persona. And we kind of had this overall like image that most of our apps, our main users, will be very busy. So we thought of this guy called Peter. And Peter is this guy where is a person who works as a product manager in an IT company. And he's in his mid-30s and he holds a business degree and he's super interested in this movies, television show, and video games. And we kind of need our main goals for building this app was to help this user who needs to keep track of movies, who wanted to watch these kind of movies in a limited amount of time. So we were very successful to doing this. And now Carlos is going to show you with a demo with an amazing app. So Carlos, are you ready?
Thank you, Kohki. Sure thing. So let's have a look at what we have been able to create for today's MVP. We're very excited. Kohki and I have been working for a month, squeezing all that free time that we can to present this to you. We're very proud of what we have accomplished and we'll hope that you like it. So right off the bat, you might notice that the site is live at movie8s.com, m88s.com. We thought the mates could be useful in this case because we want to represent the Tinder kind of cheeky vibe, and also movie, well, because we're going to be talking about movies today. So the first thing you'll see is a Google login. We work in the future to add more kinds of login, but for today, we're just going to have to use Google authentication. So you can choose any of your Google accounts that you have. You just need to wait a couple seconds, and right off the bat, you see this deck of cards falling onto a table, so to speak. And it's a very simple interface, but we have worked hard for it to make it intuitive, especially if you know what Tinder is, like Kohki described. So essentially, I'm gonna have a button here. It says my favorite list. At the moment, it's empty because I haven't used the app. So I'm gonna go back to my decks. And every time I go into this page, 5 random movies are presented to me. The movie has a photo of the poster for that movie, in this case, Kill Bill, great movie, was released in 2003, rated R because there's a lot of blood and gore, and a little plot of the movie. If that's good enough for you, you say like, okay, yeah, I like it. I'm just gonna put it to the right. And then I can see the next card, Amores Perros, which is actually a Mexican movie. Maybe Vic has seen it. Yeah, it's actually a little bit of a dark movie. So yeah, why not? I'll watch it again. X-Men 2000. Yeah, I like X-Men. I'll just put it in there. Monsters Inc. Oh my God, only good movies today. But I think I've seen this many times, so I'm not gonna like that. Mission Impossible 2, another classic. It's okay. I think I've seen it enough times, so no, I'm not gonna like that one. 5 more cards drop from the sky with random information, not information, random movies with their information is presented to us. And once again, we can continue this process. £7, don't care. Django Unchained, yeah, that's a good movie. Dark Knight, yeah. Oh, Van Damme, of course. Citizen Kane, overrated. And so on and so forth. So what's happening on the background is, if I go back to my favorite list, now you can see all the movies that we swipe to the right are here for us to peruse, for us to keep a reference. And so when you're on the spot, like trying to remember which movie I wanted to watch, this happens to me all the time, you can go to your list, the list you've been building, over time, and you say like, oh yeah, this is all the stuff that I wanted to watch, when I was busy, in my lunch break or something. And now that I have the time, maybe I can come here and refer myself to any of these movies. Now, okay, I watched Amores Perros. I don't need to watch it again, so I'm gonna delete it. Movie successfully deleted. And if I go back to my deck, you see that movie is gone. I get around to have a long weekend and I watch all these movies and say, you know what? I don't need them anymore. So I delete them all from the database. And if I have a look, it's empty again. And so on and so forth. This is the main mechanics that we are working with. Back to the Future, excellent movie. And if I bring your attention, the reason I'm showing you this screen on the left is our backend, our database. So right now we have saved 3 movies after we deleted all of them before that. So these 3 movies we have here. If we go back to the X, if I swipe right, you'll see a new record appearing on this column right here. So there's one more, American Beauty, Joker, Into the Wild, Inception. All these records are created. When I click here, now we're reading from this database and we can see everything we have gathered so far. If I click all of them, I'll draw your attention to the database. All the records disappear. And this is how we are managing essentially the back end and the front end. We kept the front end as simple and as intuitive as we can. Of course, everything can be better. So we're very happy to keep continuing this on this app. But for now, we're very excited that we have managed to make these mechanics work. I think with a somewhat of a novel concept, and we're very happy to present this to you. And now we're gonna go back to the presentation. Kohki, please take it from here again, mate.
Yep, thank you, Carlos, awesome. So now, in order to make this app, it's very tricky. So we had to combine forces to make this time in, build this app in time. So basically, Carlos, we split into 2. Carlos worked on the server side and I worked on the front end side. And Carlos basically, he did the basic configuration using Firebase to make this database to store all the users and movies information. He also implemented the functionality to save movies to the table that he just saw on the left side of the screen. And also, he also implemented this functionality of the swiping motions. And that kind of allows the users to save the movies that they're interested in. And also, Carlos was successfully able to deploy our app onto the AWS Amplify, and that was great. And last but not least, this is very important. We were able, Carlos came up with this wonderful logo that we are very proud of. And on the other hand, I worked on the Google authentication, which is like the main login procedures that we use. And also, in order to design, we use this SCSS integration. This is the CSS extension. It kind of like allows us to like manage the CSS file as well. And of course, our app is responsive, and we kind of use that using media queries and other things. And this is actually very important. Since we were working on remote and on pairs, we had to manage this Git workflow well. In order to like avoid disasters, we kind of like made this branch called staging in between so that we will have this masters, have the latest update, which will be working always. And last but not least, I also contributed a little on logo designs. Like I think you saw the movie, the cool logo on the top, but on the bottom, you see the Moviem8s title. I made that using Sketch, so that was very exciting. Okay, so I would like to say our app is very mobile friendly. It's a responsive app. And of course, it looks awesome on both desktop and mobile phones. And we would like to say users have like a great user experience by experiencing swiping motion on their phones, and it works very well on mobiles. And of course, we won't stop here. We are always improving our app, and we are truly committed to make this app a success for the next launch. And we have been discussing over and over, and we are very excited to add these following features. So the first is the preferences to base suggestion. So basically, we are planning to add this AI algorithm to detect likes and dislikes of users. And I think this is like very similar to what we have for Netflix and Amazon Prime. They kind of like recommends the movies according to their watching list. So we're very excited to implement that. And also, we are also planning to add this functionality where you can friend other users. And it's basically like a suggestion. And according to the suggestion, you can friend other users based on your preferences. So if you like horror movies, you can chat with people who have like similar interests, and you can like expand your social network. And last but not least, this is very important. Most of the users now worldwide uses mobile. So we are planning to implement and like shift towards the native mobile. And like we're going to use React Native to make our app applicable to mobile phones. So now Carlos is going to talk about what kind of tech stack we used for our app. So Carlos.
Thank you, Kohki. Right. So we're going to display this as backend and frontend. So starting on the backend, we use a whole host of services in AWS, starting with Elastic Beanstalk, which allowed us to create essentially an environment on the cloud, which we could draw all the resources that we needed. Also, Route 53, it's a service by AWS. This is where we were able to secure our domain. We were really happy that Moviem8s was available, so we secured that right away. We use the AWS Certificate Manager to get an SSL certificate, Secure Socket Layer Certificate, which allows our site to have a HTTPS prefix, and this allows for point-to-point encryption. So the data going back and forth between the app and the user is secure, which is something very important. Essentially nowadays that Google has stepped up their security measures. If your app is not HTTPS, it won't give it a high SEO rating. So it means that it won't be indexed as high as it could be. So we were able to secure a certificate with this service. CloudFront is AWS CDN network, so content delivery network, which has cache locations, edge locations around the world, which means that your app is hosted on many different edge locations around the world. And so your users, doesn't matter where they are, they're gonna always have a very close connection, and the speed is gonna be very fast. This also allows speed transfer acceleration of the images and all the information going back and forth to ensure that the information flows fast and seamlessly between the user and the server. We utilize as well, like Kohki was mentioned, GitHub was crucial, and we wanted to use the CI/CD techniques and methods that we learned in our bootcamp. So we were very happy to see that we were actually able to connect the backend to the very front end. So whatever changes we do onto our master branch goes to www.moviem8s.com. So that was very useful. And we use a Firebase NoSQL database, which is essentially an API database, which we found very versatile and very user-friendly. So that was a big help. On the front end, we use React.js and a few custom libraries that we were able to find springs, carousel, animate, gesture, like they all interact together. I mean, for such a simple concept, we, we were surprised how much libraries and how much work we needed to do to make it happen. As Koki said, we use SCSS to make the app look amazing, and good old Bootstrap can never, go wrong with Bootstrap. So we decided to use it as well. Challenges: front-end, back-end communication. I suppose this is a common denominator for developers. It's always challenging that your back-end and your front-end communicate effectively, seamlessly, and fast. For example, we were not sure for a longest time how to make the app sense which direction you were swiping. And if you were swiping to the right, save that information. So for instance, if you don't swipe with the right strength, the card just bounces back to center. So it has to be a certain, you have to get used a little bit to the click, but that's exactly what happens with especially mobile apps. They become intuitive to the user. So that's what we're kind of going for. So we're happy that that worked in the end. Another big challenge was that localhost and live versions were not matching. We were working on this essentially during the weekend. We were happy that localhost had a version that we were happy to present to you. But the moment we put it, the final version in Amazon, we're starting to get new kind of errors. I were really difficult to debug. So our whole weekend, we spent, Koki and I, we were able to overcome those challenges, but that was one of the biggest challenges we had to go through. The swipe mechanics, like I say, it involves some math, which, is always a little bit tricky, but luckily it is working now. Responsive style, because we want this app to be mobile first. I believe mobile is where it will really truly shine, because you can use it on your little time, your free time that you might have here and there. So Koki did an amazing work. He spent so much time trying to make everything look good. We were able to make it look good in the devices that we were able to test with. So we'd love to hear from you guys what kind of device you're using, what kind of browser you're using, and see how it worked for you. That would be amazing. And time management, because this was essentially a project that was done in our spare time, which we really haven't had much of since the beginning of the bootcamp. It has been tricky to coordinate, communicate, work together. But Koki and I, we are an amazing team. Thank you, Koki, for the hard work. I think we work very well together, and we're very happy and very proud to have been able to deliver this to you. Please have a look on your browser, on your mobile phone. Here is the QR code, it's a very easy name to remember, I hope, Moviem8s.com. This is the dynamic duo, Batman and Robin here, and please have a look on GitHub. This repository is public if you like to see how things were implemented. It was our pleasure showing this to you today. Thank you very much for your audience.